Good morning, everyone. This is Ron. It's Sunday morning. It's a little after 11 o'clock, and we'll go ahead and get started. And we'll start as we do every session. We'll start and see if we have any questions or observations, uh, and go from there. So, does anyone have any questions and or concerns, comments to get us started this morning?
Ron, this is Ramel. I have a question or comment,
Okay.
quite short. What's happening with Boris Yeltsin in England? His removal is, how's that going to affect America?
I don't know. Will someone maybe start at the beginning and kind of fill us in for those of us who are not aware?
Well, he has resigned and then he was dragging it out. And he makes me think a lot of what's happening with ex-President Trump in terms of he got caught up in not following the law for the COVID restriction they have in that country. And so I'm just wondering, since he came in about the same time as ex-President Trump, how that's all connected and changing this world. Like it's becoming more apparent to me that we're impacting worldly in such ways. And I just kind of wonder how we're impacting Europe or England in particular.
Yeah. Uh, I, yeah, I think you answered part of it. The things that we speak of as we kind of stir things up in the universe, I think are impacting a lot of things. At least a lot of things are being revealed, being uncovered, and things look completely chaotic at times. And I know that is part of a more generic answer than you're probably looking for. Uh, but can someone else help me out here? Is there any insight that you may see to explain this? And I think it is a good thing that all these things are happening, and so they can be exposed. Okay, but can someone else shed any insight into what you see in this?
Morning, Ron. This is Barbara. Um,
Morning.
One perspective is that when we talk about attitudes and we speak to attitudes, when we speak about uh, uh, when we say that we're not talking about a person, but we're talking about what that person represents, that the attitude expressed, and we speak about it to the universe. It doesn't matter whether it's here or whether it's Hungary, whether it's England, or whatever it is. When we speak about it, our approach um, influences all of those particular aspects of that attitude, and not just one place. It is not limited by geography. This is one aspect of that.
Good morning, Ron. And
So,
everyone,
so the follow-up, I'm sorry, so the follow-up is that when the presence of particular attitudes are revealed in one place, like authoritarianism, like disrespect for the law, whatever it is, and we speak to that, then that 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 uh, that affects everywhere that is occurring. And if you remember, um, in Myanmar, not Myanmar, Sri Lanka, even the president there left the country. So we're seeing things tumble in a sense, like dominoes. Thank you.
No, thank you. That was nicely said, and I agree. I especially want to just reiterate something you said, that I, on occasion, have to remind myself is we're talking about attitudes and energy, and not people themselves, and that can be a trip up for me at times, and I readily admit that. So I'm glad you said that. You add that. The other thing that came to mind when you were speaking is some of most of the places that we see the stirring are coming from places that have always appeared, I guess, to the world as being places of enlightenment, places that are desirable, or places that you have always thought of as I guess desirable or good places to be or live or something. So yeah, I agree with that. I think that's very well said. As we speak, you never know where the light is going to land and what it's going to affect. So thank you very much. Anyone else?
Yes, thank you.
Good morning, Ron.
Hey, Ron. This is Charles. My question is, why is our people is so mad at each other and so not friendly and so not speakable? Because the reason I'm saying that, back when they didn't have anything, everybody was always speakable. Everyone always happier. Everyone always share with each other. And now everybody's dog eat dog.
Yeah. I like your question, Charles, and let's come back to that for a minute. If you forgive me for a minute, I heard George's voice, and I think George wanted to speak on the first question. So if you don't mind, hold on to that, because I like your question, and let's get George in, and then we'll come back to you. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on for just a minute.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
You're a little low, but we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to respond in terms of when Vernell was talking about how does our thoughts affect what goes on in the world. And I think that change is manifesting because our desire to see the loving kindness, to see those things come to the light. You know, that even though we may be at a distance where we feel that we might not be able to make a difference, we can. And I think part of that, again, is the attitude of us being able to appreciate the power to be able to change things. And so, the thought of what's going on in the world, I know that, yesterday it was mentioned about fear. And at the same time, again, we can fear everything and run from it, or we can face everything and rise. And I mean, the pastor mentioned that no matter what's going on or how bad we may think something is, we got to stay the course and be able to face those situations where we can see the laws, having a way of dissolving, where we can realize the most important law. And I kind of related to a scripture that in Psalms 19:7 that talks about the law of the Lord is perfect, bringing soul, and the testimony of the Lord is sure, making the simple wise. And so, again, all of these laws, all of these things are taking place in society, all these attitudes, all of these things that may appear to bring negativism, we know that we can change that by us having the positive thought, us having the positive mind to bring loving kindness to whatever situation that might appear to be taking us away from who we truly are. So I just wanted to, just mention in terms of how there's so many more laws are coming about for the purpose of causing confusion. But I think that if we can understand the one law, I think that would be helpful. So I just wanted to share those thoughts. But I truly believe that we're seeing things manifest because of our lives.
Okay. Thank you, George. I like that, and as we try to do in every lesson, and at least it crossed my mind anyway to remind us of who we are, and hopefully I wanted to bring that up again today anyway to talk about fear, and maybe we'll get into that if we have time a little bit later. Okay, because I just have a question about fear, but let's see, Charles, I appreciate your patience, man. Well, excuse me 1 minute, though. Ms. Vermeil, does that answer your question? Did that shed any light on?
It did. It
What,
tied together. Barbara and you and George really tied together the attitude fear part, and that made it very understandable to me. Thank you.
no, thank you. Appreciate your question. That's what drive our lessons, the questions. Thank you. Charles, appreciate your patience, man. Go ahead again.
I was saying, and thank you, Ron, that why our people is so hatred toward each other and so mad at themselves, and not only that, when back in the day everyone used to help each other, everyone used to do things for each other, and everyone used to try to, if you don't know and don't have the answer, they will find out and help the person to get jobs or whatever. Now it's just dog eat dog. Nobody don't want to do anything for no one. And when they do, like you say, they looking for something. They looking to be praised about it. They looking to be put on a pedestal for doing something, so everyone else can see that that person helped that person.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate your question. And I don't have any statistics to back this up, but it does appear to me too that the violence is on an upswing. People seem to be more impatient. We don't seem to know who we are. And part of it may even be my age, Charles, because I'm getting a little older, and as I mellow out in my gray years, the violence seemed to be more evident to me. So, but I like your question, and let's open it up to the floor and see if we have any additional insight.
Hey y'all, this is Nick. I might be able to help with that. Imagine, how when water boils over time, it becomes more sort of seemingly violent and chaotic as the temperature increases. What we're seeing in part is a sort of increase in pressure and temperature, in a sense. The underlying issues that would decrease that temperature and stop the water from boiling so violently, in this metaphor, have not really been addressed. So the apparent chaotic nature of our relationships to each other, it gets worse over time as long as those underlying issues are not addressed. And in terms of how this country has related to Black and brown peoples, those underlying issues are fairly obvious. And until those are consciously addressed, the pressure that Black and brown people will be under keeps increasing, and they respond to that. We respond to that in a way that is contextualized by our environment. And if our environment is poverty and violence, then as that pressure increases, then the poverty and violence increase. And really, it requires a dramatic shift in the priorities of this country and our society in order to address that, the underlying causes of that kind of increasing pressure and the sort of violence that it produces. I'm done.
Thank you, Nick. I like that. It kind of gets right to the point. Yeah, I've wondered about that. I seem to be more violence in our neighborhoods towards women. It just yeah.
Let's take the example of gun violence, which is now one of the leading causes of death of people under a certain age. I forget what the exact stats are, but people have access to more guns now than they ever did before.
Yeah.
And that is because the underlying sort of social and political pressure that is being put on people has not changed, or actually it's gotten worse. And because, and well, in this example, it's quite simply the forces of capitalism and the forces of white supremacy, essentially, keep pushing relentlessly the idea that it's everyone versus everyone. It is sort of kill or be killed in this capitalist jungle. And the people who are already in a disadvantaged position via generational poverty, etc., receive the greatest effect of that pressure. They receive the most negative outcomes as a result of that sort of capitalist take whatever you can mindset, because they and poor people all over the world essentially have no choice but to do that under that mindset. And so it just gets worse the more and more sort of access to the means of their own self-destruction that are pushed on us. And they keep getting pushed because that is the way, that is the foundational philosophy of capitalism. It is kill or be killed. And we're not going to help you because we are already in a position of power and wealth, and to help you would require us to voluntarily diminish our position of power and wealth. So we're not going to do that. But still, it is your responsibility to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And also, here's all the guns and all the means to your own self-destruction that you want. It's your responsibility. It's like it's an insane combination of things. And then the expectation, well, the sort of underlying white supremacy directed towards Black and brown people is that no, you should be able to do it for yourself, despite everything that we've taken away from you. And that attitude is pressed constantly because that is the foundational attitude of capitalism. I hope that made sense.
It does indeed. I like that. And while you were talking, I was thinking about the Willie Lynch book. You separate people and you do barbaric things to them and tell them that they're animals, and then you're surprised that they act like animals. But if you yourself are barbaric and an animal, that's all that you can teach them. And we all go back, and I think about Jesus calling himself the Son of Man, the human. We're a long way from being human, and that's one of the things that is being revealed. What does it mean to be a human? The other thing you said, Nick, that's or that I've heard anyway, and part of what you're saying is part of what we do here on this phone is reestablish or reinforce what it means to be a community, what it means to be oneness and have a safe place that you feel surrounded by love and peace, and that you can say whatever needs to be said on these lines, or you can pick up the phone or text somebody and say, hey, can I call you afterwards? And we are lovers and protectors of each other. And that is super important, because that too is one of the things that I see us putting out there. And that's further reinforces the importance of the questions, because we are becoming what is needed in the earth, or we are showing the earth that what is needed. So as we have these discussions and talk in detail about what we see, it also kind of helps reinforce what our role is in all of this. Okay, but anyone else questions and or comments on that subject?
Ron, this is Evelyn.
Hey,
I'm sorry, are you? If someone else was going to say something?
I don't think so. I didn't
Yeah,
hear.
this is Barbara.
Okay,
Just to
are you?
add to, okay, thank you, Evelyn. And I'll be quick. Just to add to what you said and what Nick just said, the last thing Charles said was, it seems like a dog-eat-dog world, which goes back to what you were talking about and what you both were talking about, those animalistic behaviors that we are seeing. That's what we're seeing. And it seems like it's more and more and more of it. But a reminder to us all, as you said as well, the importance of what we're doing. We're seeding, literally seeding. Seeding is that seed that creates that. We're seeding the universe with the loving kindness, as you said, Ron. And it's, while it seems like evil is overtaking good, just to remind us all that it's not like a seesaw where equality is the weight on one section of the seesaw is equal to the weight on the other seesaw, so that it goes up and down, up and down. There is no equality as it relates to what balance is. And so the work that we're doing is so important, because we don't know the extent to which things could even seem so much worse were it not for the loving kindness, the peace, the harmony, the balance that we are seeding the universe with. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else on Charles's question?
Yeah, I was going to make a comment about what Charles said, because I feel sometimes, well, no, I feel a lot of times like how Charles feels, because I have never witnessed so much selfishness in the universe. And just even on a daily basis, I see people, it's all about me, when it's not all about you. And people don't speak, I'm used to speaking. I was raised that way, and I believe that has a lot to do with why people are acting the way they act. They're not used to things, or either they were not raised to respect that person or any individual. So Charles, I can relate with how you feel because I'm used to speaking to people, and a lot of people don't speak, and then sometimes I find myself not speaking. But that's not the way to be. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but I can relate
Yes.
to what you're saying. I have never witnessed so much selfishness in my life. I see things and I'm like, wow, I can't believe, this is happening. But I understand. I can relate to where you're coming from, brother. I hear you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And Ron,
Go ahead.
hi, Ron, this is Teresa. I do have a comment that
Yeah.
goes along with what everybody's saying this morning. One of the things that I notice is that when it comes to dealing with your directors as far as work, because of the love and kindness that we put out there and because of I know who I am, I'm able to respond in a way that I need to respond. And so being able to give my director some feedback, and she asks, Teresa, since you're becoming a new team leader, what can you give me? What can you help me with that's going to help me grow? And so I can think of two instances, but one is that I had to tell my director, I said, Karen, you need to recognize green means go, red means stop, and yellow means, oh, you don't know if it's going to go left or right. But letting her know that her attitude is not where it should be and that you can't just treat people or say anything to people. And so I had to let her know that. And she appreciated so much. So again, it goes back to being able to talk to people the way that they need to talk to you, but having that open dialogue to communicate and to say what you need to say and not just let it go by the wayside. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. One of the things that I heard you say in that is remember who you are. Know who we are. And there are times now, maybe on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, that you're having a busy day that I have to step aside and take a breath, But remember who you are, because you do bring enlightenment. And a lot of times in these environments, you have no idea how much light you're bringing to a situation or what you're doing to change that energy, that negative energy. Have you not noticed that there are days when people come to you that maybe don't normally talk to you, or people or come and ask a question or say something to you that that may be a supervisor or somebody who is not you are not accustomed to talking to you in that way? It's because they see who you are, and they may not be able to articulate it or even given it much thought, but they are aware that when I need a calming presence or a still voice, I know which direction to go in. And I even say, because we are evolving in that direction or have evolved in that direction, we are more sensitive to these things. And it does, and it should bother us more. We are the weather vanes of the universe. It is up to us to see the storms because no one else knows what to do with it. So as we talk and look at these things, that is part of our direction. So good stuff, though. Good stuff. Thank you, Teresa. Charles, where are you, man? Does this help any? Oh, I'm sorry. Was there anybody else? Was there anybody else before Charles? Okay.
Hey, Ron.
Yes, sir.
Another thing. I know that guy was talking about it a while ago. I forgot his name, but
Nick.
Yeah, Nick. It just, I mean, they killed us back then more worse than they killed us now. But back then it was still love and kindness. But what happened to the love and kindness now?
I am. I was. This happened a few months ago. I was having a conversation with my nephew, and he's in his upper 20s, 27, 28. I can't remember. And I was telling him, and I don't know what made me say this, but I said to him, I love who I am. I love who God made me who I am. And it got his attention. And I said, I love being a black man. I love this. I wouldn't know or be who I am if I was anything else. And he said, you do? You like being a black man? And it kind of stunned me that he was surprised at my words. And I went on to try to explain to him, but I recognized that you got to show him. You can say what you want at this point. He's not going to see it. You got to show it to him because this is deep in him that he doesn't like who he is. And it goes along with this conversation to me. We have been over decades and centuries treated like less than animals and not loving ourselves. And a lot of us, it kind of sinks in, especially in a depressive state that not the universe, that the earth is in right now. And people are being negative, and the more they worry about money situations, the more inhumane we treat each other, and the frustration boils over, and it's like, you know what, if I don't love myself, then the hell with you too, kind of attitudes in our neighborhoods. So a lot of it is the frustration that the people feel and not loving themselves. And again, not saying any of this is easy, but I'm glad I am who I am and what we do on this phone. So I just love the question, love the some of the answers and the direction and the energy that we pull from out of all of this. Okay, anyone else?
Good morning, Ron. This is Kathy. I wanted to add one piece to that as well, based on what Charles was saying. I think also a part of it is the influence of the energy of the Caucasian, because he also mentioned that the more you have, it makes you, when in other words, what Charles is describing is that you're in a position that you're better off possibly than you've ever been, but your attitude is so different. You don't seem to be thankful. You don't seem to be grateful for anything. And I think a lot of that is, and this is my opinion, the influence of the Caucasian energy, because those who have lorded over us what they have, now that you feel that you have arrived and you may have that as well, that influences you to act like the oppressor. And so therefore, I just see a part of it is trying to be like those who you've looked at all these years and thought, well, they have everything, we have nothing. Now that you start to acquire, and I don't mean material things, I mean just an attitude, though it may be material things, but the attitude of the sense of I have arrived. When you get to that point, what does that mean? I have arrived. If you think that means now I am on equal footing with those who have always thought they were better than me, then what's going to keep me in that place of being on that equal footing? Then I have to act like they act. And that is a big part of it. So the respect and the love and the sense of community that we had growing up, even when we had nothing, we had a sense of community. And I feel like we've lost that sense of community because it's almost like he said, every man for himself, dog eat dog world. That means every man is for himself. And if I arrive and I get my foot in the door and now I have my seat at the table, then I'm not going to worry about what's going on with you. I got to take care of me and mine. And I just think that is the energy of the Caucasian that is permeating the atmosphere, and that's what they're connecting to. And I just wanted to add that. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. we have what we're doing though is the answer to it, guys. And I know this sometimes feels hard, and we, kind of as I mentioned to Pastor the other day, life seems a lot of times like a leaky boat. You patch one hole and there goes another. And I think there is even a solution to that. And the solution is kind of what we're doing, and even on times if we individually kind of weaken, we gain strength from each other, but we remember who we are. We that's it. There's so much strength and power in that is what the universe is offering us, and that has to be stronger than anyone else. I mean, the love and kindness and the recognition that I am not only Elohim, I had to see myself as being human first, and being human first connects me to everything and everybody else, their humanity, even though they may not see it. It connects me to their humanity. So it's that portion of it that makes none of this an external thing. Makes none of this an external thing. It connects me to everything that is living, everything that breathes, everything that has life. And that, as I am further enlightened and recognize what it means to be Elohim, and recognize that what is in the book is not so much about God, but explaining to me who I am as a human and as Elohim, then that is my strength. And that even at times maybe we gather on the phone and we talk about it again because we reinforce it. And this too we've talked about. We talked about how repetitive the lessons in the scriptures are. And that is because we do have to reinforce these things to each other and to ourselves, and maybe there are ways that one day you hear it this way and it doesn't connect, but you a couple weeks later someone say it in a different way, and it makes all the sense in the world to you. Like on yesterday, for example, Nick talked about set your intent. I've seen that on the board for years, whatever he put it up there, but it's been up there a while. And yesterday, I recognized that statement had grown, not only grown in me, but it grew in him. His explanation was far greater than I was expecting, and it made sense. So we're evolving. We're evolving, and all of this is in our perimeter, meaning that it is connected to us for a reason. So thank you for the questions and the comments. Charles, you good?
Yes, I'm good. I just like the way Kathy, brought that out, and that was hitting me the whole time she was talking. I like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I
did.
Like you said, that people will start changing when they start knowing themselves.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing now. Anyone else? Questions or comments on what we've discussed, or do you have anything else that you'd like to talk about?
I got one more, and I ain't saying nothing now. This thing where they talk Roe versus Wade, and I know people gonna give me some feedback on this. When they did the women's the way they did the women's, and it was all about the women, it wasn't about the man. The only thing it changed the man is to go run to the clinic and get his vasectomy, and it was a lot of them than it was us. And I'm thinking when they did that thing, they should have made men more responsible to that woman if he got a baby by her. I don't care what level he was at. And not only that, make that man more responsible with his money to that child, because they've been getting away for a long time. Because I've been in that situation when I was younger, and men's been getting away of chucking their responsibility. If they make men more responsible to that child with money and his time, they wouldn't be more susceptible to change Roe versus Wade. A lot of people be trying to go under the scale and make money and get paid, and just don't want to give that woman anything, and she wind up be the own sole source of, of raising that child and trying to make a living for that child. Now, if they make more men responsible for what they do, it wouldn't be the way it is.
Thank you, Charles. I agree with you. Yes, sir. Good morning. Did you hear Charles's question, Pastor?
I did not.
Charles, we're fielding questions and answers and doing questions right now. And the latest question on the floor, or latest comment, he really didn't ask a question, but he was talking about Roe versus Wade, and you're forcing women to have a baby, but you need to do something to make men more responsible to help them take care of it. And that's where we are right now. So we open that up. Does anyone have any insight into that or comment they'd like to make? Charles, I'll give you my 2 cents worth. I think when this first started, Pastor kind of gave a history of all this and how it happened, and even the doctor that was responsible for that. And the biggest thing that I got from that is this whole thing is about help or getting white women to have more babies, European women to have more babies. Everybody is afraid of the browning of America. So the thought as to what to do about other people, minorities, or anybody else that may be caught up in this, the bottom line is that was not a part of the equation. That was not something that was a lot of thought went into. But as we discuss this again, that is also the deterioration of our neighborhoods and our communities. But that has been an issue too for quite a while. Yeah. Anyone else would like to speak to that?
I want to add one other thought, Ron. This is Kathy again. When we are talking about passing laws to govern a woman's body or whatever the case may be, there is no law that needs to be written to tell me to be responsible. I think spiritually, when we become aware of who we are, we'll do the right thing. I'm not going to look to the government to pass laws to tell me what I should and shouldn't do. I look inside myself and knowing who I am. And when we show people who they are and teach them who they are, you don't have to rely on the government to do anything, to worry about what they're going to do, what laws they're going to pass, because in my opinion, spirituality always trumps what we do in the physical. And so therefore, I don't worry about it. If a law has been written to tell the man to be responsible, show everybody who they are, and they'll do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Couldn't agree more.
I think what Kathy just described is the position that all of us have to take. Not folks being aware of, but not focusing on what the government does or does not do. It really doesn't matter. What matters is what we do, because we know who we are.
Amen. Like that. Thank you. Anyone else? Excuse me.
I went through a dead spot. I'm on my way to see my mom.
Oh.
The thing that I wanted to continue with is this. It was very necessary, as we said before, that our road be waived to be overturned. I see that as us being aware of the reason more so than the fact it was done. The reason the universe allowed it to happen is because it's an activation point. The more that's overturned, the more active people become. And the more active people become, the more they are in search of something better. And that, therefore, it is imperative that we continue to do what we do, because every single time that a group of people are activated, it is incumbent upon us to, at the very least, mention it, talk about it, and put it to the macro of what we see needs to be done. I think I said this before. We're at a point now where the universe is gradually giving us the lead, because we are in the position to take over the leadership in terms of being the of this earth, not conquerors. I'm sorry, having dominion of the earth. That's our responsibility. So, but that's where we are. However, I do believe that no matter what happens, we do have to discuss it, because our energy is what sends solutions to people who are searching and don't know what solutions are. And even if we don't know what the solutions are, our energy of desire impregnates them. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor. And that's something we had said this morning, the importance of discussing what we see around us and the changes that we like to see in the earth. Thank you. And I also want to take a minute to thank everyone for being as observant as you are. A lot of the issues that you bring up, I readily admit I'm not always familiar with the details. So, if someone brings something up, we kind of open it up and look at it, and it enlightens me as well. So thank you. Is there anything else any other questions and or comments at this time?
I have a comment. I think everyone that's on the phone, they bring something to the table too, to help with the question.
Well, we've always said that, and you're absolutely right. It's a good time to kind of reiterate that. The energy on this line is tremendous to me. I love it, and I take a lot of comfort in it. And the energy is not just fed by the voices. The energy are fed by everyone who's on the line. Those that are thinking about things, those that are praying about things, those that trust in what is being said. So I appreciate this, as I think I speak for all of us. We all gain far more when tuning in on these sessions than we offer. So thank you everyone who gets on these Saturdays, Sundays, and Monday afternoons. Okay. If there are no more questions, I have one that kind of touched me yesterday, and I want to talk about it just a little bit. The word fear came up yesterday, and it came up again this morning. I can't remember who said it or what the context was, but I want to look at that a little bit. I got a question about it. Then I want to talk about it because it just took me somewhere. It made me think of the verse in Matthew 5. It says, therefore, you are to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. And I want to get to what I see in that in a minute. But the thing I see when I think of us as fear is that is something that is not coincidental in our neighborhood. Fear has always been a tactic to keep us in line. And the fear comes because it is not just a threat, it is real, and that is taking your life. And the lives of an African seem to be taken so easily, and they are taken in a way that is publicized so that everyone can see. So fear has become a part of our DNA, and it is something that is deeply embedded in us. But however, what I want to talk about, or what I see in that, is your true DNA, the essence of your spirituality, is far greater and has a deeper history than anything that that fear can bring to you. And so I wanted to talk about that, the essence of who we are spiritually, and what that means, and how you impact the universe, even in the midst of all this chaos that we see stirring up around us. Okay, any questions about that? I looked up that word perfect, and I talked about this a little bit last Monday, but the thing that got me about that is it talks about wholeness and completeness, and being mature, and moving to a place that you have a level of a certain level of understanding. So you're moving to a completeness there, and as we talked about before, that completeness is talking about moving to a place that you are a fruit bearer. You're bearing fruit, and you're being. Completeness also talks about being consumed by something. So what is it that we're being consumed by? It talks about being in rhythm of the universe, and being ripened, and being able to be ready, or be who you are at every situation. All of that is part of completion, and wholeness is talking about being balanced. Wholeness is talking about creating space within yourself to receive something, and that's what kind of got my attention. The creating space. The creating space is an action that we all do, and we know it as holiness, and that's been the answer for the longest. But we never talked about what is the space that you are creating, and what what is being filled there. The creating space is moving self out of the way, moving those things out of the way, whether that be your religion, whether that be your fear, whether those are self-imposed, or someone else is putting fear in your thoughts, your emotions, your biases, your even our history as being American, and that even went back on the birth of the nation on the water, And we take all these things and we find a way to make them positive. We find a way to look at that as I love the Monday night session when Pastor talked about that, the birth of a nation on the water. That turned that whole thing around for me. I never saw it from that point on as being something negative anymore. That was very empowering for me. So the creating of spaces for things like that, and as we walk in who we are and recognize it and understand that this is a process. It is not something that takes place all at once. But it helps us, even though that fear is deeply rooted, we can uproot it. We can uproot it by these conversations, by the recognition that I am more than just this body, by the recognition that I have a history not only in the earth, but my history goes back all the way with the Creator before there was anything called time. I mean, we talk about the being Melchizedek, and the completion and the wholeness gives us an opportunity to pull all this together and to recognize who we are. And so I just want to talk about that for a minute and talk about the evolution and appreciate where we are now and even where we're going. And so all this stuff we talk about has a purpose, and it also has a solution. Any questions or comments about any of this?
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
Ron,
I
go ahead.
want. Thanks, Charles. I wanted to look at this thing about completion, wholeness, and balance. Completion is wholeness. Wholeness is not perfection. If wholeness was perfection, then we would not talk about balance. The question is, what is balance? Balance does not mean you're not going to have adversarial thoughts or adversarial actions towards you. Balance speaks to knowing how to handle them. Wholeness speaks to the same thing. Regardless of what you are going through, wholeness and harmony speaks to the idea of you being able to stay where you are in terms of your beliefs. Your internal battle is still there, but it's not as serious as it once was. And the reason the scripture says that we are our brother's keeper is because there are times when this internal war exceeds our strength to hold on, depending upon what it is and what kind of effect it has on our emotions. So our brother's keeper means that we not only encourage each other, we remind each other, and we stand in each other's place in order for that balance to supersede this imbalance. An imbalance is simply being out of balance with the universe. When you're having issues, it doesn't mean you're out of balance with the universe. What it means is that you must bring balance to whatever issue it is. And that balance says that that issue or that adversarial thought does not control you, does not overcome you. Even though you don't have a solution to it, you know that the solution to it is in the universe, and your being remaining in balance with the universe will bring a solution, regardless of how long it takes or what it looks like. You are guaranteed a solution when you stay in balance with the universe. And when you don't see it within yourself, please know that it's there. It just has not been uncovered or revealed by the universe. Thank you. That's what I see, Ron.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. Anyone else?
Ron, you talked about creating space too. That creating the space is that opportunity for the solution to present itself. When we don't create the space, which means we don't rest in the knowledge of who we are, despite what's going on around us, and lots of times what's warring within us in terms of our thoughts. When we don't create that space, then it allows the doubt to come in, and that doubt allows fear to build up.
Yes.
That we will create regardless of whether we create the right thing or not. And fear also is what we can create. We allow that thing, whatever it is, to loom bigger than we are, because we don't remember who we are. We allow it to create the what if you will. What if this happens? What if somebody comes to my house and breaks in? What if my boss fires? All of those things are a creation of a type, but along the lines of fear. So if we can easily allow ourselves to create fear, why can't we allow ourselves to create the space, just resting in who we know we are, for the appropriate solution to whatever we are dealing with to be revealed or uncovered?
I like that. Yeah, thank you. Wholeness to me too. I have written down here. It is being in touch, getting in touch with your femininity, and that is part of what brings the balance, because you're creating space. And I had written down, when a woman is impregnated, her body automatically creates space for that life. I was looking at that yesterday, and I was reminded, because I was watching something on the History Channel about Rosa Parks, and I was reminded of the sister that went up the flagpole and took that flag down. And I think about women over the years who have done things fearlessly, or maybe in spite of their fear, and look at those things as examples of who we are. So that to me is a part of the balance. We do things in spite of, and to overcome, because we are overcomers, and we do create spaces, as Barbara just said, for solutions to present themselves, and that may come in whatever form that is needed at that time. So it is absolutely amazing who we are once we gain understanding of that, and can walk in it. Okay. Anyone else? Anybody else have any insight?
Ron, I
Yes,
want to
sir.
know, it could be a stupid answer. Who created the fear? We did, or God created everything?
What's the question?
Who created the fear?
Oh, okay. Ron, in order for you to be courageous, you have to know what fear is.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Because the reason I asked that question, Jesus had told the people, fear the one who could destroy the body and soul, because fear came in there.
Yeah.
Jesus, see, fear in the scriptures teaches more than being afraid of something. Fear in the scripture also means to reverence. Whatever you're afraid of, that's what you are subconsciously often reference to, because they have the power over your life. That's what a fear is. If you're afraid of being broke, having nothing, then that's regardless of what you try to attain, you're going to find a way to squander all of it because you're afraid of it. And the thing that you are afraid of visits you every single time. And it's going to keep doing that until you dig deep inside, remain who you are, and you will see that once you become courageous, that overshadows it, that dissipates it.
Okay, thank you, Rep.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Anyone else? The only other word that I looked at that kind of hit home again and tied all this together to me is I looked at the word neighbor, love thy neighbor, and neighbor is anybody that comes near. And borrowing something from one of the authors I like, and that's Douglas Klotz, he talks about the thing that is nearest to you is yourself, those inner voices, that inner part of you. So that too is your first neighbor and one of your first neighbors. So when you get to where you can comfort that neighbor, when you get to where you can comfort that voice and bring that under submission, where you are seeing things as one and not, following that adversarial thought that is in your mind. When we get to where we can be at peace within ourselves, we see that the solution is there to bring peace about with other neighbors or with things that we consider external. But when you get to that point, when you get to where you can walk in peace with yourself, and we talked about this a little bit the other day, not beating ourselves up so much when we have those negative thoughts or hear those voices, when we can move those into a place of oneness, into a place that we find peace within, we'll see that all of this is from within. All of this is a part of what humanity is all about. So even though it may appear at times to be external, it is not something that we can readily separate ourselves from if we see ourselves as being spiritual beings. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I kind of feel like I messed that up, but if there are any questions asked or someone help me explain that, please, or say that in a better way. Or do you at least have a question? Does it make sense?
It does.
Okay. So,
may I put this in? Think about it. People are more afraid of a knife than they are of a gun. Why? Because of being cut a different feeling than the possibility of being shot. So that tells me that even though the gun is more deadly, the fear of a knife is a choice. And every time we face anything that is unsettling, we have a choice to be courageous in the face of it or to fear it. Thank you.
Any questions, y'all? Comments? So, just kind of the bottom line, and we've said this before as well. I think the United States of America is the seed of chaos to be turned into a tree of righteousness by us. I think this country was developed and grown for this purpose of what we're doing. And as you already know, the chaos that you see, partly, at least, because a lot of it has been here since the inception of this country, we have stirred up things that appeared to be settled and had never been settled, for the purpose of bringing about peace and loving kindness to mankind. I think that's why we're all here. I know that's why we're all here. And so if that is our purpose, and if all of this is established by the Creator so that we can see it, and I love the fact that if one person doesn't see it, somebody else has the details of a situation and we discuss it. It is put here for us to deal with, to work on, to ripen, to bring light to. So if that is the case, and I believe that it is, then there is nothing for us to fear, even though if I am my ancestor is me. I have died many times. How many more can you kill me? Does it even matter? So I stay the course in my belief, in my knowing of who I am and who we are. And this has a very distinctive purpose that has not been witnessed in the earth before.
I agree completely. And thank you, Ron, and everyone.
Thank you, Nick. Anyone else? Anybody have anything to add?
Not about fear, but about us.
Okay.
When you were talking about neighbor, right?
Yes.
And if you take that and couple it with our desire for humanity, then if we cannot embrace that desire, if we're afraid of it, or if we are doubtful of it, then it will never happen. Because everything begins with us. If you can't handle who you are internally, you definitely won't be able to do it externally. So it is everyone on the phone, whether you are speaking or simply providing your energy, which we really, really appreciate, have the same task, and that is knowing who you are and embracing it fully without doubt and you say, how do I do it without doubt? I don't know how you do it, but the way I did it was reminding myself subconsciously and hopefully subconscious that who I am. Every time something came up and it was unsettling, I reminded myself who I am. And now, when things began to become unsettling, that voice inside of me reminds me of who I am. Yesterday, I was getting frustrated because we had been summoned to return to the doctor, and when we got there, it took so long, and I was getting ready to call, and something inside of me says, why? You make it happen. You know who you are. And I began to move with that. And that same voice says, you are where you're supposed to be. And guess what? When we got there, we had a physician who was so calm, knowledgeable, and apologetic for us having to wait as long as we did. The physician that we had the day before was not like that. So I say all of that to say this. Repeat to yourself. You don't have to say it verbally. You can say it in your heart. Remind yourself who you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I had something else and I can't remember what it was, but it doesn't matter. I had a thought, but I forgot it. Well, I guess we're done if no one has any other thoughts or questions. And please just remember what Pastor just said, and we rely on each other. I would like to hope and think that everybody on this line has someone else on this line that you can call and talk to. We, again, as Pastor said, are our brother's keepers, and I love that. I love that. We support each other, and so if you move to a place of feeling doubtful or feeling down or feeling a little depressed, get on the phone, call somebody, text somebody. That's why that's part of who we are and why we're here. And regardless of whatever else you may see and hear in the news, we don't let anybody tell us who we are or tell us what our value is. And I mean that as an African and as a spiritual being. No one has the right to tell us our value. So as we walk out the door, I am reminded of my nephew said to me, and I think I had told you guys that before, but it's a constant reminder of you know the responsibility that we have out there. So, anyone else? Anything? If not, that's all I have, guys. I appreciate everybody on the line. I look forward to talking with you tomorrow afternoon at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Ron. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.